Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rhoda. If you are new here, today we are going to make pickles. So are you ready? Have you ever made pickles at home? If not, don't worry, you're at the right spot. They're super easy. You only need 3 ingredients to make pickles, and you don't need more than 30 minutes to make your own super crunchy pickles. So if you want to know how I have achieved this, join me in the kitchen. Let's make pickles. Without further ado, let's just So, first things first, you don't want to just start by cutting your cucumbers before you wash them. So, you need to wash them carefully, making sure that you are cleaning all the sand out of them because you don't want to eat sand. So, make sure you clean them very well, getting rid of all the dirty particles outside of the cucumber skin. Okay, so by doing so, you see, I was doing it like washing one by one, but well, for me, it was the second time because I let my cucumbers sit in the water for a while before rinsing them off. So you don't want to rush this. Take your time, wash your cucumbers, and transfer them to a nice and clean bowl. Now, after doing this, that means your cucumbers are ready for cutting. So for cutting the cucumbers, we don't have an actual formula for this. You can cut them in wedges or slices, whatever suits you best. It's okay. So as you can see, I was showing you the jars that I was going to use for canning this. And I bought 2 different kinds of vinegar. So that's white vinegar that I'm going to use for this. So I just saw these 2 brands in the shop. I didn't know which one is the best. So since I'll be doing this a lot this time of the year, so I decided to just go ahead and buy 2 bottles of vinegar because I know sooner or later we will be using the other bottle. So, okay, so I just had to buy both of them, although different brands, I'll test it out. So after that, I went ahead and cut my cucumbers into wedges. For me, I actually prefer wedges, but it's like I said before, there is no formula for this. So you can cut them in slices or wedges like I do. So here I was trying to demonstrate because prior to this, I cut and I forgot to record when I was cutting mine in wedges. So you don't want to make them too thick. Like I did at the beginning, you'll see later in the video, I had to change the thickness of my cucumber wedges because I sometimes use this one on my sandwiches. So you don't want to have them very thick. You want to slice them to thinner wedges. So after that, just go ahead, put maybe 2 teaspoons or 2 tablespoons of salt. Why I do this will help to drain the water from the cucumbers. So you just let them sit for a few minutes. And then after that, I just went ahead and rinsed the salt out of the cucumbers, as you can see. And I also reduce the thickness of my cucumber wedges because I realized they were too thick. That won't be proper for my sandwiches in case I want them in sandwiches and salads. Well, you can eat pickles with whatever you want. You can have them raw, you can put them in salad, you can put them in your sandwiches, or just eat them raw. Whichever you like is okay. Summer is too hot, you can just pop them in the plate and eat them. That's super delicious. So after rinsing them the second time, make sure you get rid of the excess salt and drain the water. You can hand pick them to transfer them to another clean dry bowl. You can hand pick them, making sure that you are not adding excess water again in that. So once they are nicely washed and drained, it means they are ready to be canned. So as you can see, I continue to show the exact type of vinegar I was gonna use for my brine. Okay, so I pick up my jar, the one I was gonna use. Like, mind you, this is very big, but I used like 12 cucumbers. That's way too much for this jar. That means this time I made lots of prickles. So I'm gonna need two jars to fill up with this. So as you can see, you can nicely settle them, like put them in the jar, um, like packing them well. You don't want to make them too tight because there won't be space for your brine. You don't want them to be squashed and no space for the brine. So make sure you leave some spaces that will be filled with the brine. And also you make sure to leave the space on top that will be empty, and you don't want to squash it like fully um full to the top. You want to leave space. So as you can see, I have some spaces in between the wedges. They will be soon covered with the brine. You will see later. Okay, as you can see, I still had some in the bowl which I was gonna use. I went on to use another can for that. Okay, like I was explaining here. I went on now to make the brine. It's super easy. It's just three ingredients. So I use 3 cups of white wine. Like in China, I just say baisu, and 1.5 cups of sugar, white sugar, and a teaspoon of salt. That's all you need, guys. And you bring these to boil. You have to boil them. Make sure that the mixture is completely dissolved, like the sugar and salt is completely dissolved. It's so funny, guys, that I got so used to using chopsticks to stir, just like a Chinese person. So, yes, I was using my chopsticks because they were easy to reach when I needed to do this. So, I just went ahead, used the chopsticks to stir until the mixture was completely dissolved. So, I put on a lid so that I had to bring this mixture to boil. So I cover it up, and as you can see, the fire was medium and not too hot. I covered with a lid and went on to check my wedges. Okay, as you can see, there was an extra bowl that was a little bit smaller. It's okay. So now there's the trick. For some people, they prefer their prickles to be a little bit spicy. So for me, I kind of need that sometimes. So I was gonna use a little bit of pepper in one of the jars. And for the smaller one, I didn't want to use that because my son loves it. So that's for my son, and that's for us, the bigger one. So I only put a little bit of pepper in the bigger jar, and it tastes really nice. So for seasoning, I can say seasoning. You can add other things if you want flavor. Like I do, I want some flavor in my prickles. So I went on to add bay leaves, sesame seeds, a little bit of it, bay leaves, and prickle ash. I'll show you the box later. So my brine was ready. Mind you, you don't have to let it sit. So once it's boiled, it's ready to go in the jar. You can start filling the jars while it is still hot. This will help it to completely dissolve the mixture to go inside your cucumbers. And don't worry about this, guys. It won't soften them. It will still preserve the crunchiness in the cucumbers. So don't worry, your cucumbers will still be crunchy, although the brine is so hot. So I wanted to make it easier, so I just used the dish towel or the kitchen towel to just pour everything. Wow, that's so close. My brine wasn't enough, so I was not able to cover. It was so close, but it didn't cover. So I went on to take the little that was left in the bottle and cover the jar. don't have to cover the jars immediately. You need to let them sit on the countertops for some time until they are at room temperature. Then that means they are ready to go in the fridge. By the way, these are not fermented, so that means you have to keep them in the refrigerator to best preserve them. So you can't leave them out long, they will get bad. They are not fermented one. So the best way is to keep them in the fridge all the time. Okay, that is the prickle ash. You can find it in the supermarkets, very cheap. And I add bay leaves on top. That is only for the flavor. It doesn't change anything, just for the flavor, because sometimes I want my prickles to have that tender or like flavor that makes it really good, especially in salads or in sandwiches. So I went on to add a little bit of bay leaves and prickle ash on both jars. They are not spicy, they just add flavor to it. But it's optional. If you don't want it, you still cannot put it. It's not a must to have this in your prickles. You can just have the vinegar and mixture. That's all. That's all. And then after that, I had to make sure I put them where I cannot by mistake drop them to the floor. So I just let them sit on the counters for quite some time until they were warm enough at room temperature, and then I cover them and put them in the refrigerator. That means they were okay. So you can go ahead and make some for yourself, guys. You can make more. You can share with your workmates. You can give to your friends. They'll thank you. This is really good for summer, when it's really hot and you are not up for cooking. End of our pickle making vlog. So guys, go ahead, buy your own fresh cucumbers. Make your own pickles, and don't forget to tag me on Facebook. You can find me with the name Dolly Mas, or you can go to my Instagram. You can find my Instagram in the description box. Tag me. I want to see the outcome of your own pickles. Okay, if you like this video, please don't forget to give me the thumbs up. Also subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel. Forward to see your pickles. Well, you can make pickles with any kind of vegetables. For me, I prefer using beets. I prefer cucumbers, cauliflower, onions, and cabbage. So you can use a whole lot of vegetables to make pickles at home. So the funny thing and good thing about this, because you put exactly what you want in it, and you can go with your favorites vegetables. That is awesome. So let's start serving. Make your own pickles at home and have fun doing this. You can make more. Share with your colleagues, share with your friends and family. So it's goodbye for now. See you in the next vlog. Goodbye.